Here are 7 bad habits that millionaires don't have, so you should probably cut them out of your life too. Because often we think to move towards our greatness, it means that there's something that we need to add into our life, some habit, some routine that we're currently not doing that would be the magical unlock. But the reality is, quite often, the thing that separates the champions from everybody else isn't what they do, it's what they don't do. It's the bad habits that they don't have. You know, you think about good habits as the accelerator, bad habits are the brake. It's the emergency brake on the vehicle. Well, you can pour on all the good habits in the world and cram down that accelerator to the floor, but if you have the emergency brake on, you're only going to move forward so fast. So what we want to focus on first and foremost is what are the bad habits, those things that we need to remove from our lives that disengage the emergency brake that would allow us to move with speed towards our goals. So here's the 7 bad habits that are keeping you from that life of your dreams. Number 1 is procrastination. In my experience, more dreams die of inaction than wrong action. One of my favorite quotes is from Wolfgang von Goethe, where he says, "Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power in it. Begin it now." I have found that the cure to procrastination is momentum. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of momentum. It just has to be a little bit of traction that starts moving you in the direction of forward. And then suddenly that momentum snowballs. And so the key is to recognize when you're procrastinating and then to set that very tiny next step. What could you do in this instant to turn the tide, to stop that downward slide, the negative spiral? What could you do to arrest the fall and start building positive momentum? That's number 1. Stop procrastinating. Number 2 is stop waiting for the right moment. Most people will waste their entire lives waiting for the right moment to arrive before they take action in pursuit of their goal. They feel like they need to collect more information. They're not quite ready yet. They need to collect more money, more savings before they make the plunge, whatever the thing is. Like, most people just sit around waiting for that right moment. And the reality is the right moment never comes. You will never feel ready to do the thing that will move you towards your greatness. And yet you have to do it anyway. And the sooner that you can do it, the better. Because in my experience, the more time that you allow to elapse between when you have an idea and when you take action in pursuit of that idea, in pursuit of making that idea a reality, the more likely you are to fail. And so when you have an idea, move with gusto. Take action right now. The only right moment is right now. Stop waiting. Number 3, stop abusing Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says that work expands to fill the time allotted. So if you give yourself 5 hours to complete a project, it will probably take you the entire 5 hours. If you give yourself 2 weeks, it will take you 2 weeks. If you only give yourself an hour, well, it might not get done as well as if you had given yourself 2 weeks, but it will get done. And in my experience, getting something done in 1 hour is better than getting it done in 2 weeks. Having something done and moving forward, having proof of concept is so much more valuable than trying to get it perfect, right? 80% is good enough in 99% of instances. And so the way that we use this to our advantage is by decreasing the deadlines in which we give ourselves. Instead of saying, I will get that done by the end of the week or even end of day, you say, I will get that done in the next 15 minutes, in the next 30 minutes, next hour, next 3 hours, whatever it is, right? Like, you're going to size this to be proportional to the goal of the project that you're working on. But generally speaking, we give ourselves far too much leeway, too much time to complete these projects, and they always expand to fill the time allotted. So give yourself less time. Number 4, stop prioritizing wrong actions. So many people confuse being busy with being productive, with, having a packed calendar full of meetings and full of little activities, little things that keep you in motion. But the goal isn't to be busy, it's to be effective, right? And being effective isn't about how much you get done, it's about what you get done. And if you would just spend less time watering fake plants, doing those things with excellence that shouldn't be done at all, and instead just focused all your time and energy and with intensity on the things that actually matter the most, those very few number of activities that really truly move the needle, if you would just focus on that and let everything else fall to the wayside, you would make so much more progress, and you would do it in so much less time with so much less angst, so much less anxiety, so much less exhaustion. So do things that will actually move the needle. Forget everything else. Number 5 is you need to stop having scattershot focus. The quality of your results in life is dictated to a large degree by the quality of your focus. The more focus, the more quantity of focus, the more quality of focus that you can bring to bear on a task, the better you're going to perform it. Multitasking then is by definition a dilution of focus, right? You have all of these activities that I'm going to do this at the same time as this, and I'm trying to balance that thing. So you're trying to do too much. And so if the quality of your results is dictated by the quality of your focus, and multitasking is by definition a dilution of your focus, then that means it is also, therefore, a dilution of your results. If you want to make better progress, if you want to get better results, learn to monotask, singular focus on one thing until completion with the full intensity of your being, and you will start to move so much faster. It's going to make your head spin. Number 6, don't miscalculate risk. Risk is a very hard concept to quantify. Depending on who you talk to, there's many different ways that you could measure risk, but the problem is that everybody kind of has their own internal interpretation of it. What's risky to you might not look risky to me. You know, when I was a rock climber, I would spend so much of my life dangling from my fingertips on the side of a cliff with nothing to hold me but a rope and some quick draws, right? To most people, that looks incredibly risky, but because I understood the situation, I understood the safety equipment that I was using and the likelihood of success and failure, it wasn't perceived as risky to me. So the lesson here is that risk is really a subjective measure. And at the end of the day, it just depends on how and who measures it. Now, from what I have gathered is that most people vastly overestimate the risk of failure and therefore the downstream consequence of that failure and how it will ruin their life. And they underestimate the potential upside associated with success. The people, surprisingly, who get the furthest ahead in life, that are the most successful, it's the ones that they maybe did realize the full extent of the riskiness of the endeavor ahead of them, but they also understood the potential upside associated with success, and therefore they went for it anyway. They were too stupid. They were smart enough to see the risk, but too stupid to avoid it, and they went for it. And as a consequence, like most times, the thing that we think is going to happen, the big risk, it doesn't actually play out that way. So you have to figure out how to get out of your own way and accept that you are probably a bad judge of risk in your own life and the activities, like the likelihood of probability of success and failure. You're probably miscalculating it. Just humans aren't very good at that. So number 7, you have to lose this habit of impatience. You can't control how long things are going to take. All you can do is control what you do in the meantime. And building big, meaningful things, doing great things with your life, they take time, a lot of time, a lot longer than you think, right? We underestimate what we can do in a decade. We overestimate what we can do in a year. We think things are going to, play out way faster than they are in the short term, but then we have no sense of context for how it's going to play out on the long term. But one of the things I've come to realize is that the longer you're willing to wait to achieve the result, the more likely you are to get the thing, right? We've talked about the marshmallow test all the time, right? That's effectively the longer timeline you give yourself to be successful, the more likely you are going to be successful. And so just learn to be patient with results, but impatient with inputs, with actions. You need to be moving with fervor and with energy towards the right activities, right? We're not going to waste time being busy doing things that don't matter. We're going to attack with intensity those things that actually move the needle. But then we're not going to judge the results of those activities for a long time. And the more time that you give yourself in which you measure that, the more likely you are to find success. So those are 7 bad habits that millionaires, that successful people generally don't have. And so I highly recommend you start cutting these out of your life. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know down in the comments. Shoot me a message over on Instagram. You can find me, the Anthony Vicino. I'd love to connect with you guys. This podcast, it only grows through word of mouth. Like, there's really no other mechanism by which it grows. And so you taking some time to share this with somebody in your friend pool, your family that you think would get some value out of this, that would mean the world to me. So take a screenshot of this, share it on Instagram, tag me in it. I'd love to connect with you guys, and I will see you in the next episode.